All right, abusia minche ona ma akwaba emfa wo emra eye be media GH so. Abusia for Senator Rawlings akupie mu ewo eye Pan African Parliament. Na ye kase obi enimi kasa sa sister no in fact onimi kasa ankasa. Ye kase obi chese obi abia sister na abia ankasa. Na nsɛm sister no kopie mu ɛwɔ ɛyɛ Pan African Parliament ɔde egu form no abusua the whole parliament ɛsɔre na abusua for ɔmo bɔ mu nsɛm ɛde ma no. In fact Zenata wa kwɛhyɛ yɛ Ghana nimonyam kɛse papa me mpɛsɛ mkasa ba no mpɛsɛ yɛ kɔ na ekokoti nsɛm a Zenata Rawlings abusua for ɔde egu form na sɛ wie na sɛ wɔn adwenkyɛ ba bɔde na yɛ akyɛ adwe hada so yɛ be media GH abusua sɛ ɛnɛ de connect channel so ayɛ bɛ subscribe na yɛ bɔ notification bell no so. For more podcast updates, yancha hono yankone kuti nsɛm a Senator Rawlings ade atudwa abra akopie mu ɛwɔ ɛyɛ Pan African Parliament emra sesia yedase.
Opportunity. I think to start with, when we're looking at women in agribusiness, we need to consider the land tenure systems in our various jurisdictions, because most of the time the women do a lot of the heavy lifting, but when it comes to the fair wages, when it comes to the rights, they don't own the land, and therefore they can't even use it as collateral. The studies show that women tend to pay their loans back more at high rates than the men do. But the barriers to women getting loans, especially the so-called grassroots women, is the fact that they don't have collateral that they can actually use in order to avail of the loans, which basically means that the most vulnerable women end up being the ones who have the least amount of access to exactly the thing that we're trying to use to build them, which is the financing. In addition to that, I think that as we look at women in the cross-border issues with regards to the 90%, perhaps we should be looking at a situation where every country at the border posts should have a certain quota of female officers who are customs and immigration officers, to make sure that when women are coming through the border, there is that sense of added protection by the presence of other women there as well. And then, of course, on the more controversial reparations issue, I think that we shouldn't just look at the issue of slave trade as slave trade. We need to look at it as a conquest and people who are taken as prisoners of war. And if we can look at it through that lens, we may be seeing a different way in which we can approach this issue of reparations. Most of those countries, the US and the countries in the European Union and the EU that built their countries, built it on the slavery, on the blood, on the toil of Africans who were taken against their will. They never had to sign unfair trade agreements. They never had to sign onto contracts that put them at a disadvantage. So when we're looking at reparations, let's look at it in kind as well. How can we have these people in paying back actually help us in terms of rebuilding our roads, setting up the infrastructure we need, whether it's the IT, whether it's electricity, power, all of the things that will make us leapfrog into the space that we really need to be, to give us a solid base on which to build everything else that we're talking about in terms of women's empowerment and support of economies. Thank you very much. And
thank you. The next.
Thank you. And in conclusion, I think that we should put financial value to what the women bring to the table. Too many women are working, they're paid, they're not paid, the work is not recognized. We must put a financial value on the unpaid labor of women on the continent in order to make sure that more women are empowered. Thank you very much.
Being in politics, is it a departure from medicine? Are you now saying that we are no more practicing, or do you even practice?
No, I don't practice actively at the moment, but I do put my background to use by making sure that every day, at least twice a year in various sectors of my constituency, we do health outreach programs, and normally it's with a group of medical professionals. For the last couple of years, it's been with the Ghana Medical Association, Ghana Medical Women Association.
Okay.
And what we do is we put a team together of medical practitioners, and then we have pharmacists as well, and then we have the medications. We do, you know, whether it's the eye check. So we have ophthalmologists on board. We bring glasses along. We have the dental. We do women's checks as well, cervical screening and breast screening.
So you're doing the whole 360. You're not just limited to, I mean, your field of practice.
No.
Okay.
No. Because you know, sometimes my constituency appears to be an urban one, but we have some peculiar challenges which make it quite important for us to have a whole team of medics when we do these medical out screening programs with the purpose of ensuring that those who may not be able to afford medical care don't get lost, in the community. And then we bring the medications as well. So after a prescription is given, you're not asked to go and buy it. You actually get the medications for free.
Are you providing these for free?
Yes.
Wow, impressive.
Yes.
Do you miss the consulting room? Do you miss the hospital or clinics? Do you?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. And so I use my medical eyes to just do spot diagnoses on people and, occasionally just give a bit of guidance and say, have you checked your thyroid? Have you done this or that? But in general, I think politics has a way of invading every aspect of your life, and I think it has effectively done that.
Ever rendered that service in Parliament where maybe you saw that a colleague wasn't too well and you have to diagnose or maybe go in there and say, look, I prescribed this for you? Do you do that?
Not prescribing, but I did. It's happened a few times, and the colleaads actually came back and said, actually, you were right. Nobody had actually mentioned this, but thanks for pointing it out. Wow. Culturally, it's almost taboo to mention to someone when something is wrong and you can see. But medically, I just feel duty bound. If I can see that something doesn't look right, I just, I say, I'm sorry, but this is what I've seen. Can you go and speak to your doctor and ask this, that, and whatever else? And
you've done that a couple of times.
Yes.
Interesting. You've been 2-term MP for your constituency, Clotte-Corley.
Yes.
How would you describe leading and also representing their interests? I know you love your politics, you love your constituents. Just yesterday, I saw you with the government chair commissioning, and you could see the enthusiasm, the zeal with which you do your job. You're going for a 3rd term.
Yes, God
you love it. It's as if the constituency is yours. Is it that easy?
I wouldn't say it's mine. I mean, I'm here to serve, but it's a real honor being able to interact with genuine people who are just looking for proper representation and who want the basics, water running in their taps, which we're not getting much of in the constituency, clean drains, which we're having an issue with as well. I mean, I went around one of the electoral areas yesterday, and the amount of filth in the drains is actually, it's quite disturbing because, we're in the rainy season now. But back to your question, yes, it's an
That's instructive and also for me interesting that you went there not with the mindset of getting into politics, but the stark reality had you to change your mind. So it wasn't something that dad had sat you down to say, one day become an MP for this area, or mom. Never?
No, never.
Many people said, well, you are following the footsteps of dad or maybe mom, so that is why you were pushed. And of course, naturally, this is the area that you grew up in, so it came as a natural for. But for you, that is not it.
No, that's not it. And actually, the pushing did not come from my parents. It actually came from executives in the party and the constituency. Really? Yes, actually.
How did your parents take it when you broke the news after what you had witnessed and he came back?
It was mixed reactions because the discussion had never happened prior to that, because like I said, this was actually never it wasn't my plan. God probably had a plan and was laughing at me when I was doing my thing, but it was my parents at the point, a full-grown woman, professional. I had my 3 children at the time. Correct. So it was a case of, just understand the implications of what you're getting into and just maintain your integrity,
And no regrets?
Well, there are times when there's, sometimes in politics, I think the difficulty at times that I face personally, because as a medical doctor, if a patient walks into the consulting room, from the minute they're walking in, you're looking at them to tell a story. And they're talking and you're listening and you're seeing how the story fits with what you're seeing. Then you do the blood tests or you do the scans, and there's a whole picture you're putting together to be able to arrive at a diagnosis, to be able to then chart a path for management or treatment. Now in politics, it's not always the case, because sometimes people come in, but the intention is not to actually tell you the truth so you have the solution. Sometimes it's because there's some other agenda, and it's always trying to filter through, because it's human nature. You don't always get people being completely, forthright with what it is that they're looking for from A to B. Even though we know the best solution is B, sometimes people opt for A for different reasons. And I think perhaps that was the wake-up call for me when
does
I got
that get
into
to you?
politics.
Like you said, we're all human beings, and sometimes you feel like, well, you have regrets, or you want to quit, or you ask yourself questions.
Well, asking myself questions, definitely. I mean, the fact is, I did not embark on this journey lightly. I mean, probably will sound strange to you, but I did pray quite a bit about it, because this is a path that when you get onto, it affects everything. And you can't just, it's not like, I don't know, a pair of Charlie Waters that, when you decide, well, I'm tired of wearing these, or I don't want them anymore, and you just put them aside. This is a commitment, and it's a huge responsibility that you take on to represent, to serve, and obviously it's not going to be a walk in the park, but yes, there are times when you think, if you're on the same team with a group of people, there's a natural tendency to have an expectation that everyone should be on the same page, but that can't happen, and I think it's just constantly readjusting to that, the fact that even when we know what's best, not everybody is looking out for the best outcome, and making some kind of peace with that and still managing to focus on what it is that I have to do. I think sometimes it's a tricky one.
I know, right? But what drives you? What keeps you going? You wake up every day, a mother of 3, you're a professional, you have to be there, juggling all those duties. What drives you?
Things, but it's something that's quite deep, and it's the little thing between God and myself.
I can see that you're very religious, huh?
No, not religious.
Spiritual.
I mean, I'd say probably. I don't go to church every Sunday.
Don't? Oh, okay.
No, not every Sunday. But I do take my relationship with God quite seriously.
Why not? If you do take the relationship that you have with God very seriously, and is it exigencies of time? Is it that you're just not busy, or you don't care?
No. It's different factors. On some Sundays I have to go for a program in my constituency, and it's duty. I must be there.
Right.
And at the end of the day, God knows my heart. So I don't think that personally, I'm of the view that it isn't going to church every Sunday that makes me a Christian, for example. And I don't think that that is the only thing that's a determinant with regards to what my closeness is, or my relationship with God is. For me, the ability to maintain a certain level of integrity while I do what I do, to be decent even when people are not, to be able to say, this is not mine and I will not take what's not mine, and this is for the people and it must be done, and to keep going.
Interesting. So your relationship with God certainly drives you in everything that you do.
Well, it's a huge part of everything I do, because to be honest, at the end of the day, for example, if I go into the constituency after everything, when I get back home and I'm having that, personal review of how did the day go, it's good to be able to say, God, I don't think I did too badly today, and to think maybe I can do better tomorrow, and it's always a prayer that, my feet remain solidly grounded, so that at no point do I start to feel like I'm better than, and my background, my parents were very, very strict on that. So with regards to being very level-headed and grounded, that comes from my upbringing. My grandparents, my parents. Wow. That's the thinking behind our being raised. But
we'll delve into growing up and all of that, how interesting it was. But for me, with the politics, I know it was a choice. Yes, getting into it, but also it was a tough one for you, unseating, a regional minister at the time, and also a stalwart of your party. Didn't you face any backlash? Didn't people try to talk you out and down?
Yes, there was all of that, including those who kept insisting that I should go ahead. To be honest, when I was approached by the some of the members of the party in the constituency, they actually approached me and said, there was a concern that we might not be able to retain the seat, and they'd done a survey, and the people were saying if I were to represent the party, we would be able to retain the seat. And I remember at the time saying, but you can find someone else. I'll support.
Why you?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think there comes a point where you're called to perform a duty, and you've been trained, you've had opportunities, to learn, to study, to do all sorts of things, and that point where it's time to also add your bit, to contribute your quota. And so for me, it was a sense of responsibility actually that drove that, and just not wanting to let the people down.
Certainly, a calling, if you ask me as well.
Yeah.
And look at your constituency. I mean, it's cosmopolitan.
Very.
You have semi-literates, literates, you have the fisher folk, you have people from all walks of life. How are you able to, strike a balance on their expectations? And like we said, these are people from different walks of life, but you're able to do it well and juggle and know their needs.
Well,